I wanted to ask you, when you brought the quantum sound miracle iCube into your home, how, and your practice, because I understand you have quite a full practice, how you saw the energetic patterns. I also forgot to mention that you're a mother of a 16-year-old boy who's in the home and a 22-year-old daughter. So how did you see the energy field, the quantum field, impacting the family, the home, and your clients?
So that's a loaded question, right? Because there's so many. As an intuitive, I felt so much right away. Actually, when I ordered it, I felt some energy shift just in talking to you and ordering it. And then when it arrived, I put it in my bedroom beside my bed. And that whole night, I was like up and kind of awake and sleep and awake. And it was really restless. And I was like, what is going on? Like, it just felt different. Like there was so much shifts going on. And it felt very restless to me. At one point, I was just like too much restlessness. And I was like, why can I not be restful right now and sink in? And I looked at the cube and I'm like, I need to turn that thing off just for tonight. So I turned it off. That was the first night. And then I moved it to another room because I'm hypersensitive,
Highly
not just
sensitive.
highly sensitive. I had to have it in a different room. But what I noticed right away was it cleared the cobwebs in my body and in my energy field. So it cleared the cobwebs in my mind. So I've been doing a lot of work for like over 30 years on myself. And what I noticed is it kind of took over that full-time job of keeping my energy clear and keeping my energy field expanded. So the way I described it is, imagine having like 100-room mansion, and I would go room to room dusting and cleaning. And by the time you get to the 100th room, you got to go back to the first one because it's dusty already. That's what I've been doing for 30 years. And I've been very committed and very structured around it. But what I've noticed in having it for the last couple months is that job is taken care of. I feel like I have a household of healing cleaners that come in and do the work for me while I sleep and during the day. So me keeping my own field clean is like easy now. And so I'm just working at the level of my thoughts and emotions and anything that bumps up against any leftovers that are current. The rest is done for me. And that feels, it's a huge relief. Actually, I didn't realize how much work and how much time and how much energy it was actually taking me to keep that clear. So that's the biggest thing I noticed. And then within my family, my son was always really struggling with school and schoolwork, and he had this huge resistance to school from day one. So in the beginning of this year with high school, he's just entered into grade 11. He was really struggling with the curriculum and the way they've condensed all the courses and they piled on the work, and he was just having a really hard time. Right around the time I got the iQube, I kind of went to bat for him at school and just said, we need to change the workload. We need to do things differently. And with that, me kind of standing up for him at school, and then also the iQube, I find that his energy is calmed and it's more evened out a little bit. So he doesn't have these spikes of stress and frustration. He has more of these even toned kind of experiences where he'll actually come to me. He's like, okay, Mom, I'm frustrated. I'm like, okay, let's talk about it. But he's able to manage it now. Whereas before he'd almost get like pulled down into these wormholes, and it would be, some work to get him back out. So that's what I've noticed with him. My daughter's pretty easygoing and she's always kind of a go with the flow. And so is my husband. But I do feel like energetically there's shifts happening for them on levels they don't realize because they're not as aware. And even with my husband, he's had some health stuff going on. I feel like I can feel those things sorting, but also within my own body, my own health stuff, I can feel that stuff being sorted and organized in a way that's becoming more harmonious. And again, going back to me not having to do all of that work all the time, it feels really good.
It sounds as though you're being allowed to rest more
Yeah.
in your actual role as a healer, where you're able to expand that work further because you're not doing so much of the heavy lifting at home.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
what about with your clients? What have you noticed? And I love the son. I remember when my son was 16 years old, and it can be quite a roller coaster as they adapt to their new hormonal bodies.
Yeah.
And yes, so that's very encouraging, actually, that
Mhm.
he's feeling better and more. It sounds as though his self-esteem is increasing as well behind those changes you're noticing. If you can manage, you start to feel more powerful, is the word I want to use.
Yeah. And the words I'm getting is like more capable, right?
Ah, yes, of managing this.
Yeah. So we have this capability to handle life as it comes, the challenges. But if we're already feeling overburdened or overloaded, or at that, we're walking that fine line already, then any little thing that's added feels like a mountain. Whereas I feel like he's standing in this like space of capability, like he's capable of handling those things that come to him. It irks him, it maybe makes him frustrated, but he's navigating it better, which is good to see.
Yes, that'll give him great confidence.
Yeah, for sure. As far as clients go, when I do my weekly, I do live group mentoring calls,
Mm,
and my clients are all over the world. They're not just local. So when we're on those calls, I actually set the iQube on certain tracks on purpose and set the
mhm.
intention to bring the field into the circle that I create. So when I do the work globally, I create this container, and I invite this container to be held by this beautiful space of light, and I allow all the members to come in and step in. So it's almost like joining me in the circle. And I bring the iCube with intention. I bring the energy of the vortex of the iCube into the center. And since I've been doing that, I've noticed that it's interesting because some clients will sometimes feel like it's too much, and I can feel them backing up. And then other clients are like right in there and like really absorbing it, and like, it's almost like hungry for it. So, and I found that for me too. There's times where if I create my own voice tracks, that I can listen to them, and then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, I need to stop. Like that's almost like you hit that threshold and the body's like, okay, stop, pause, and then I might integrate it again in a couple days. But it's what I'm finding is the energy kind of, it comes in, it bumps up against our leftovers, it meets us there. There's an invitation to allow it to move a little further, to allow it to dissolve or shift that energy. And then there's times where it bumps up and the person's like pushing back. So we have to really honor our own resistance and honor that energy within us that is not quite ready to let go, or in our minds, we're not quite ready to let go. So that's what I've noticed with my clients. It's a little dance between resistance and allowing, and that beautiful invitation is always there.
Yes, and especially since it is a scalar optimized or a powerful energetic field, and some people are more receptive than others, which is one of the reasons why the delta track is so important, the sleep track, because in the state of there's the least resistance when you're sleeping. So that's one of the keys. And so, have you noticed any changes in the sleeping patterns in the family?
Well, everyone else in the family, for the most part, sleeps okay.
Oh, good.
It's me that
Except for
tends
you.
to wake up a lot. But I was having health issues, so that was waking me up. Like my kidneys and stuff were kind of waking me up. That's actually resolving. I feel like that's actually improving. There's a number of things I'm doing along with the iQube. So I can't say it's just the iQube supporting that, but it's definitely part of the equation of that recipe for healing for me. And when I do wake up in the middle of the night, I've always gone into meditation, but I find that when I do wake up at 1 or 2 or 3, and I'm up for usually 2 or 3 hours, I can go into a deeper meditation, and I'm actually having more visions and more experiences of actually aware of the traveling that I do in the middle of the night, because I often go and I
Yes.
support my clients and stuff. I'm more aware of that happening, but I don't feel exhausted anymore when that
Ah,
happens. So that's a big shift as well.
You and I have a lot of that in common. So that's what I've seen also, that sometimes we're not aware of the meetings we're in. And the moment the iCubes are on and you wake up, you usually start not only remembering, but then digesting and taking action. That's what I started to observe when we developed the 24/7. So thank you for sharing. That's incredible.